Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Hobby Nonsense. It's a special day on this episode of Hobby Nonsense, not because I say that every single time, but because it's a special day. I'm joined in the studio by Ray.
How Live and in living color, Jesse. A couple things before we get started.
Is that for
this
me?
Hat fell off. This is for you. You can put it in the studio.
Labubu? A Dodgers Labubu?
Ohtani.
Dude, this cannot be cheap. Is this real?
It is a Labubu.
Where did you find this?
Our good friends over at Whatnot has provided a Labubu with a Ohtani jersey and a little LA bucket hat.
Well,
we could talk about the card that they released.
Listen, hang on.
The weekend. I know
we're jumping the gun. I didn't even get to introduce you, as Ray has agreed and accepted to be the new co-host of this show.
6-figure contract.
6 figures. Right. That shocks all of us.
It's not what we agreed upon.
Yeah, there's if you count like those 0 cents, like .00, how many pennies? Yeah. That's a.
All right, we're gonna have to.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Ray Solorio is the new co-host of Hobby Nonsense along with me. It's great to have someone not only who knows about Pokemon, because that's your go-to.
Yeah, a lot of Pokemon action going on right now, Jesse.
You've got your WWE experience, and you've got your other. I love that it's not just cards with you too. Like the fact that you are into like just other collectibles, things that are hot, things that are flippable, because you do that on your other podcasts.
Because we're doing this hobby, and it's a fine line between like doing something that makes money or collecting things that are valuable or not valuable. It's one of those things that like you only want it because somebody else wants it kind of thing.
Flipping things, but he also is similar to the boat I was in when I joined up with Mike and we started talking about sports cards. Before Sports Cards Nonsense was Sports Cards Nonsense, that was kind of the idea. Was like I was learning a lot about the other facets of that hobby. And Ray will be doing something similar, as we all do, right? We can always learn something new.
There's a pre-Ray and post-Ray era.
Okay, yes,
of the Hobby Nonsense podcast.
Well, here's what's hard, because you can't say PR now, because it'd be PR for both of them. You could do you can do Ray. We'll do Ray as opposed to pre-Ray.
Post-Ray.
Yeah. So that is a healthy dose of nonsense to start us off. We also have a guest today. We are going to talk a little vintage music, also history to some sense. Ryan Nolan, not to be confused with Nolan Ryan, is going to join us again. We're going to talk a little bit about some vintage. This is a part of the hobby again where not everybody's like super into it, but we're going to try and tie it into things that are going on right now that make these cards more favorable, I guess more interesting than they would be at other times. So we'll bring him on here probably in the next 15-20. In the meantime, you've got bones to pick. I've got some notes to talk about. And I'm still getting over my Ohtani Labubu. What is it, by the way? This has got the little pink flowers on there, which is the there's an artist they did the collab with.
Murakami. We talked about, we have a little bit of past rapport. So
that's true.
Jesse did not go to our 20th year high school reunion.
To be fair, I was out of town.
I had to go by myself.
Had no idea it was even happening until
by myself.
I was out of town
like a loser.
You also said you weren't even going.
This is very true. This is very true. So we got a call from a mutual friend that we went to high school with.
Who was it? Do I know who it is?
Chad's Malkowitz's wife is good friends with my wife.
Oh, wow.
And so they text each other and they're like, "Are you going? Are you going?" It's like, well, Ray's not planning on going. So it's like I was convinced to go, but I had a great time.
You did? Okay.
I had a great time.
Where was it at?
It was at the Tailgate Brewery down the road.
I just went there for the first time the other day, actually.
Yeah, great spot. You could have went there for the first time, a couple weekends
ago. Had I not been in Gatlinburg, I would have been there.
Yeah, but we missed you and Sam. It would have been way better if you guys were there.
How many people would you say were there?
It was a great crowd.
Really?
I would say at least 40 people.
40 people from our graduating class. How many people do you think we graduated with?
I don't know.
I bet it was like
200, 300.
That's what I was thinking. Like 250, maybe 300 people. So 40 people. I am very curious. Do you know all of them? Like when you see them, do you like, oh yeah, I remember that guy, that girl, Or is it just like, I'm so glad there are name tags?
Yes.
Are there name tags?
There were name tags.
And you're glad?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Because, some people, they look a little different.
Sure. Absolutely. So. I would love to not dox everyone there, but I do know, because you told me you ran into Dustin, who I've been wanting to talk to forever.
Yes, and there is a conversation being had currently.
You have reached out? You found his number?
I have reached out. He has all of his childhood cards still.
Yes. Oh, yes. That is so cool. I want to talk to him so badly.
So we had a good conversation where we were there. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And he still has his cards.
He has all of his cards.
That's insane, because there's a high chance if he has his cards still,
those are your cards.
The cards that we traded back in 3rd grade. Because if anybody does not know or is not aware, back when I first started collecting sports cards, and I had collected a bunch of Jordans. Dustin was a good friend, not just elementary school, but on through school. And back in 3rd grade, though, he had convinced me that these wild cards that he had, which Wild Card is still around making cards that are still not as popular in comparison. And he had said, like, these players, which nobody had ever heard of any of the names on there, would one day be more valuable. So I was like, oh, well, I guess, and so I traded him my Jordans, my Jordan collection that I had, which granted, they were not in sleeves. They were not top loaders. So they're not going to be like perfect mint condition. But after we did that trade, and I later found out, like, oh, these aren't really worth anything at all. And I was like, that's what got me out of the hobby when I was a little kid. And so that was what I asked Ray to do, is if he doesn't mind, like, setting something up to where we could talk to him, because it's not like an attack by any means. It's just more for fun. I think it'd be a fun story. And he could actually have them.
Yeah, he could have your childhood collection.
Well, I know I had that one where Jordan was like, I can't remember. It's like dunking? Where the lightning, dunking, just like 99% of those cards. The one with the lightning background, that is very popular. People still post this card all the time, but basically he's flying through the air and there's lightning strikes in the background. That's cool. If he has one of those, granted, he might have two. One would be mine. So, well, that's cool. I'm glad you went.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So,
all right. So you have been you were in Atlanta last week or something.
I was in Atlanta. I got to go watch some Braves games. I went to Wednesday. They had the 2 Grand Slams.
2 Grand Slams.
2 Grand Slams. So they were rocking and rolling against the Angels.
Did they have giveaways at this game that you went to?
They did have giveaway on Tuesday. They had a baseball bank, like a ceramic bank.
Oh, okay.
And then throughout the stadium, you would randomly hear someone dropping, just glass shattering.
It was like the shape of a baseball.
Yeah, it was. And it had
it's thrown onto the field.
It was in a box, and I don't
know.
But I did get to go to Cards HQ when I was down there.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, because it's literally right down the road.
Well, before we segue to there, one of the reasons why I wanted to segue to that was because what we just saw, you actually sent me the post. It was One Piece as the Luffy card that was given away at the Dodgers game here this last week.
Straw Hat Luffy, yeah.
So they gave away straw hats and they gave away Luffy cards with, I think he was like in a Dodgers uniform on the card.
Like Dodgers branded One Piece Luffy cards.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
It's great marketing, by the way. Like, whoever is doing the marketing for the Dodgers, like the fact that we have this Labubu Dodgers uniform, Labubu over here, the fact that they're doing these One Piece things, I think they listen to this podcast and or other similar avenues of social media, because they are doing what people are chasing, and those cards are currently selling for $450 to $500 on eBay.
I've seen some posts where there were people there asking to buy other people's cards and willing to spend $300 for the cards.
Well, I saw somebody who sold, I think, for like 120 or something like that, and it was just like later he was just like, yeah, that may have been too low. And
you never know.
Yeah, exactly. But he said he got himself it paid for the price of his ticket, so that's cool in the moment. But yeah, the fact that they're doing that, and what I do appreciate too is like they gave out, according to what I had seen online, like 40,000 hats. So there were the hats that were also name brand with One Piece in Dodgers, but the cards apparently were much, much lower printed.
Yeah.
Some speculated maybe like 250 or something like that. I feel like there probably were more, but who knows? It wasn't as many by any means. So
I think that's going to be a card that's going to skyrocket.
Oh, I do too. I think so too. Yeah, the fact that it hasn't come down over the last day when we were seeing it sell at 500, it's continuing to sell at that price. I wouldn't be surprised.
And a raw copy. Can you imagine what? I think I just saw that Beckett just got done grading the first 10s.
Oh wow!
So who knows what the market is going to be on those?
Yeah, I'll be very curious. In fact, I'll look it up on eBay just to see if there's anything that's listed for a graded one. But anyway, so that was cool to see One Piece in the community at large being, especially in a card form, being taken to have so much value. But you said you went to Cards HQ while you were down there.
Good first time there. The coolest card shop I've ever been into.
Do you know any association with Jeff just Jeff and Sports Card Investor, anything like that?
I know that Jeff is Jeff is social media, I don't know, content creator / I don't know, like card shop owner.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
So Cards HQ and Invest, they're like together?
I don't know
what.
I know that Jeff is a owner in both. I don't know if Sports Card Investor is an owner, if that company is an owner in another company, or I'm not sure if that's even possible. But bottom line, I was curious more to see if you had a take on Jeff, because it's funny because we can talk about Jeff on this podcast. I have no beef with Jeff.
Yeah.
I like him, and I understand sometimes what he does and how he markets things are not how I would do it, but there's some sports card enthusiasts that find him to be not their favorite. We'll just say it nicely.
So I know of everything Jeff. I know enough about Jeff.
Okay.
But you got to think of like the big picture, right? You got to cast like a really wide net
to
get people to watch your content.
I completely agree.
I think that he's like, for the novice person that wants to get into sports cards, Jeff would probably be the
he's a go-to.
Like the first you type in, sports cards, grading, collection. I'm sure something with Jeff's will come up on YouTube.
I would think
things like that. So the gateway to get into sports card, content would probably be Jeff.
And he is in a large way. That is
like,
true.
I don't know a lot about sports cards, so I can watch Jeff and be fine with it and not be offended in any kind of way.
It is funny just how polarizing he is as a influencer.
I mean, it's like a Gary V,
Oh yeah, for sure.
You got to sit and talk to him. I'm sure after meeting him, you're like, wow, he's not kind of like the person that he kind of portrays to be.
Yeah, I mean, especially with these people in front of cameras, behind cameras, it's different stories most of the time. So here's my only thought when it comes to Jeff as a card shop owner. I want people to like cards, and I want people to like his establishment, and I don't want to influence new people to come in and automatically start being like, oh, that guy's good and that guy's bad, unless they are obviously trying to cheat someone. So it's like when you go there and you're not as big into cards other than Pokemon, and it's like, it makes me wonder, do you even know any of these associations? And so it is interesting to see your point of view on it, that he is good for the new guy coming in. I would agree with you completely. So
especially how the shop is set up.
Yes.
There's tons of kids in there.
Yes.
It's a great shop. They have the podcast set up there, all the breaking stuff already there.
Did you buy anything while you were there?
I did buy one Pokemon card, and I would say that their prices on just Pokemon cards, they're a little up there, but you have to remember that this is a brick and mortar shop. They got overhead and stuff like that. It's not like going to a show and paying the person that's across from you.
I agree with that. Yeah. I do. When I was there, I kind of felt similar. It was a little high, but not out of the realm of like oh, that seems like we're trying to gouge or something like that. It felt like, yeah, they have overhead and they're trying to pay for some of that. So I will give them that. I did want to send a quick plug as a reminder. So last episode, when you weren't here, Courtyard had basically offered to do a giveaway of a comic book because they're now doing comic books in their vending machines. I pulled one because they basically just said, pull one, see what it is. Whatever it is, you can give it away. It could have been worth like $100 to $150 on the low side. It fortunately was worth $300 on the high side.
It was the Spider-Man one.
It was a Spider-Man one. And so I will be giving that card away, or that comic away. The only thing I'm saying this so you all know, to enter, all you have to do is buy a pack. It doesn't have to be a comic book pack. It can be a $25 pack. And then you use the link, though. Use the link in Instagram under Hobby Nonsense, under Sports Boy. They're both there. If you click that link and then you buy your pack, you're entered to win. That's as easy as it is. I will give updates as far as like when we're going to do it. I'm hoping we just kind of run this through the month, give plenty of people an opportunity to join. But yeah, that's how we're going to do the giveaway for the comic book. Inevitably, I know it's a topic that we're going to talk about on the pod when like at least 2 or more guys send me the same links or links to something similar. So you sent me the One Piece thing, and so did a couple other guys. And then another couple sent me the Pope signing the Pokemon card. Pope signing how do you pronounce the name? Pope Leo?
That's why they signed it. Yes, because it's Pope Leo.
That's what I thought it made. Oh, Pope Leo.
Yes.
Now that I was like, oh, Pope Leo. It says Pope in it, and then it's like I didn't make the connect. Pope Leo. To be fair, I also didn't know his name was Leo, so I feel bad.
Leo's a great White Sox fan.
So, there you go. Well, Pope Leo signed the Pope Leo Pokemon card.
Correct.
The fact that he didn't sign the Pokemon card is like, it's fine. I'm sorry, he didn't sign the Pope card. The fact that he didn't sign the Topps Pope card is, I do wonder. You made a good point. I had said I was shocked he didn't. He should have, and you said no. The Pokemon card was the better choice
because it's almost like a meme. It's the Pope Leo card. Yeah. It's Pope Leo.
You got like the one of one out there too. Now, like there's nobody else who's got a Pope Leo Pokemon card.
Pope Leo card
signed by Pope Leo.
Yeah.
That's
terrible signature, to me, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's not a good signature by any means. It is just an insane thing to me that people are having, like the fact that we had Pope cards and now the Pope is signing Pokemon cards. It just seems like,
world are we living?
Is this the Matrix? Like it doesn't seem like a real thing. So anyways, we've got a couple other things we'll talk about after our guest. Let's go ahead and bring on Ryan Nolan. All right, our guest, Ryan Nolan, not to be confused with Nolan Ryan, has joined the podcast today. Ryan, I do have to at least ask this question because after you last came on, several people were like, Nolan Ryan was on the podcast. Is this something that you get like in real life? People are just like, oh, you're like the baseball guy. What's that? How did your name get like that? Is that ever like a thing that you have to tell stories of?
And Mike always had last name, first name first when they read attendance, and they would go Nolan Ryan, and then the substitute teacher would always go like, wait a second,
you're punking me.
Like you understand how cool of a name you have. And then all the other students would have like no idea because they're not into like vintage baseball. But you would always get these substitute teachers that would just talk for like 5 minutes about your name. And I'm sure everyone else in the class would be like, what is going on right now?
That's fantastic. I am happy for you. At least you get some extra attention in class.
But I will say, imagine if I grew up in Texas. That would be a different story.
Well, and imagine if you were a big Nolan Ryan fan. I mean, do you have any Nolan Ryan cards, honestly?
Yeah, I have a lot of Nolan Ryan cards. I mean, I used to have a decent amount of his vintage run, but I've pivoted away from, 50s through 70s baseball.
Okay. Well, we've already talked so much about baseball in this episode, far more than any Hobby Nonsense episode really should. It doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
But we've talked also about the Pope signing a Pokemon card. Now we're pivoting once again to include another segment of the hobby that really appreciates what you do, which is you collect and you're very knowledgeable about non-sport historic cards, vintage cards, if you will. And a couple things that we had talked about that have been more on the minds of people lately. You had the holiday, 4th of July just came up. So some president card, flag cards, but also like maybe some more music cards. What have you noticed? Have any of these things actually been hot in the vintage world lately?
Well, I think on the president's side, that has been on fire, especially when you go back to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Over the last 2 or 3 years in general, a lot of these cards have gone up 10x, if not even higher, on that side of things. And yeah, like you would be shocked. So there's a set in the 1800s called the Great Americans, 1888 and 76s. And historically, like you could find George Washington in there and Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison. And I know Thomas Edison is not a president, so don't go after me on this side of things, right? Or Ben Franklin, also not a president, but historically you could find these cards under $500, from like $250 to $500 range. Some of these cards now in twos are well over $2,000, and when you get to a four, they're like $5,000-$6,000 depending on the eye appeal of the four, because not all fours are graded equal.
Now, what kind of pop counts are we talking about when you start seeing some of these cards?
I would say you're probably anywhere from like 15 to 30-ish on that side of things. So, but like in the Great American set, it's loaded, right? So not only do you have those names that I mentioned, you have Mark Twain in there, you have Edgar Allan Poe in there, you have Thomas Jefferson in there. Like the list of amazing historical figures that are in that set, you'd probably know 15 household names just in that set alone. And in my opinion, they have one of the best artwork out there out of sets. You look at it kind of like as sort of an equivalent to the Goodwin Champs if you're looking at the sports side of things, although Goodwin Champs do have some non-sports figures in there, like with Colonel Cody, but generally it's one of the best looking non-sports sets in my personal opinion.
So it's not like they're just like packs of these still unopened, are there? Or do they even come in packs?
It's a cigarette insert. So if you know how like Allen Ginter cards from the 1880s, right? They're inserted in cigarette packs, or like the T206 cards where they're cigarette pack issued. That's what these are as well. They're called Duke cigarettes. And they made a lot of different non-sports cards back in the 1800s. Eventually, they became part of the merger, which would come into the American Tobacco Company. Are you familiar with that merger side of things?
No.
Okay, so essentially, there's a huge gap in the 1890s and then the early 1900s in cigarette cards being produced. So essentially, what happened is I think there was like 5 or 6 different brands of cigarettes all together decided to merge and form a company called the American Tobacco Company. And because of that, they didn't really need to promote their cigarettes anymore, at least in America, right? So all the cards that you saw from like baseball cards that were getting produced in the late 1800s ceased production in America. Now, the American Tobacco Company, they still produced cards, but they didn't care about the American audience. They actually started creating non-sports cards overseas. So you'll see American tobacco card issues that were out of the United Kingdom, out of Australia, and then also out of Asia. So they were marketing in those different areas rather than the US. And then American Tobacco Company eventually got back into the United States, marketing on that side of things when they produced the T206 set.
Here's what I love about you, Ryan. You don't even have to take a pause. You don't have notes in front of you. You know this stuff so well. It's crazy.
It's like a savant.
I know, right? It is, but it's so interesting to know like where and when these cards came from, why they may have dropped out, why they may be, because we do like there's a lot of people who seem to have these overseas, and it would make more sense why they would have those overseas now. So if that is the case, if there's like 15, 30 of some of these cards out there, you're seeing prices increase. Do you suspect that to continue, or do you think it's kind of like leveled out at this point?
I see both sides of it. I do think at a certain point we will hit the top, but then you look at the equivalents of like the baseball side of things. If there's baseball cards that are a pop 30 or pop 40, like some of the Goodwin Champs, the baseball Hall of Famers, these are 5-figure cards. You look at someone like an Abraham Lincoln or George Washington, you ask 2 people on the street, who's George Washington or who's King Kelly, more people are going to know the George Washington. Obviously, our hobby itself is interesting because we're such in a small space. Like a lot of the baseball collectors want to have that King Kelly card, but they don't know that a George Washington card exists in the 1800s. So it's kind of the opposite on the side of like the education. Like most people know George Washington versus, let me reword that again. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. It's hard to say if we're at the peak yet, or if this is kind of like in the early phases of non-sports. I see both sides of it. On the peak side, like these cards have gone up a ton over the last few years, which always makes me a little worried, right? Because you don't want to see a huge spike. You want to see something that gradually increases over time. But at the same side of it, like if you look at a general population outside of the sports card collectors, you compare two different items. Like you ask someone on the streets, who's King Kelly versus who's George Washington, more people are going to tell you exactly who George Washington is, even at the B or C tier. And I don't want to say Edgar Allan Poe's a B tier in that set because he's still quite expensive, $1,500 for a two, but not as much as like a George Washington or Lincoln. Again, people are going to know Edgar Allan Poe over a King Kelly, but in our hobby of just card collecting in general, a King Kelly Goodwin Champ clearly outsells the Edgar Allan Poe, and I think it would probably get more interest at a card show. But I do think a lot more dealers are starting to open up a little bit to the non-sports side of things. And I've seen that also with some vintage baseball card collectors. They're starting to go backwards and realize like these are kind of cool. I can get an Edgar Allan Poe card from the 1800s. But the biggest difficulty on this side of things is going to be the pops, right? When you walk around a card show, you can always find 50s through 70s baseball. And that's always going to be on someone's mind. Like, oh, it's a 52 Mantle, or oh, this is a 54 Hank Aaron. When you walk around a card show, like people aren't just putting out an 1888 N76, like Edgar Allan Poe or Washington or an Edison. Like a lot of these cards are in people's personal collections, which I would say like on the vintage non-sports side of things, you have a lot more collectors versus someone that is just trying to flip a card really, really fast. So not a lot of them circulate out there, although there is a good amount that do go up for sale on eBay.
So maybe more of a general question. What happens? Because it seems like every time someone's like, oh, well, that's like the rookie card of George Washington, right? Like we've talked about this before, like what constitutes a rookie. And a lot of times it's been like, well, what was their first card? And it feels like every time I hear about like one card, someone else is like, no, actually, there was one printed 2 years earlier. Or, oh, actually, so it's like is that ever the case? Like, are we still finding cards that like someone's like, oh, actually, I have a set from a decade before that of, Abraham Lincoln or whatever the case may be?
Absolutely. And, that goes back to our first discussion where I said, like for non-sports side of things, rookie cards don't really exist. I mean, because again, it talks about like what number one is what classifies a card. Different people have different opinions on what classifies a card. To me, something like a CDV would count as a card, right? These were photographs mounted to cardboard in anywhere from like the 1850s, 1860s, 1870s, well before all the different tobacco cards were produced. To some people, they count cards only being tobacco cards or gum insert cards. I also count things like postcards as cards, whereas another collector might not. And I know we're going to talk also about Black Sabbath as well, Rolling Stones. A little bit later on, we'll talk about some of those other edge cases, but truly like non-sports isn't as chartable as sports cards. Sports cards is pretty easy. You know exactly when someone is getting called up into a league, the different sets that are out there, because typically sports cards are within a few countries, not across the entire world. Like non-sports cards are produced in well over 50 or 60 different countries. How many countries have produced baseball cards? Maybe under 20. So on the documentation side of things, it is way easier on sports cards than it is on non-sports cards. I'm actually working on something to try to document all the non-sports cards, but it's going to be easily like a 10 to 20 year project because you have just so many countries, and each country you go into could have thousands of sets, and you have to get that information from people who have been collecting just that country's cards for a very, very long amount of time. You're just not going to see that on like the sports card side of things, which I find quite easy.
Now, I do want to pivot here soon and go over to some music stuff and bands. And I say that for multiple reasons. One, I want to hear more about, we talked about like Ozzy being like his last concert this last weekend, I think, or he's on his last tour. Is it last concert or last tour? Do you know?
Concert,
it was. Okay.
I wish I was in the UK for it. That was an amazing lineup.
Yeah. So, I wanted to talk about some of those and the fact that Rolling Stone, Panini just put out a brand new set, but they also have earlier cards. But I'll tell you one of the reasons why I want to pivot. As I'm listening to you tell me about this, I'm like, this is really interesting. But I question the interest of the hobby in general, or just people in general, about historic cards, because of the fact that there are so few of them out there today that you could even get your hands on. I feel like it almost limits the amount of interest that can actually come into the hobby because so many people are out from the get-go because they know, oh, I'll never get my hands on that card, or I'll never see that card in real life. And I question if you would have a counterpoint to that.
No, I mean, I think we're in agreement on that you don't see a lot of those at card shows, which is why not a lot of people know about vintage non-sports side of things. I think they do pretty well at like auction houses. And it's the same, like if you go back to old Judge cards, like you don't go around a card show and you're not going to really find many old Judge baseball cards. There might be an occasional one or two, but these cards fetch 5 figures regularly at auction, depending on the eye appeal of the card. So I think there is a section of the hobby that want to collect rare cards that may take years to find the card rather than something that's easy to source, but it's going to be a smaller sample of collectors, right? It's those collectors have been collecting 10 or 20 years. They get bored of 50s through 70s baseball and say, hey, like I can find this at any show. This card, it's going to take me 3 to 5 years to find it, if I can even find it. So you have that side of it.
I like that though. I like the fact that like it is more of like a more difficult treasure hunt to make. It's like, you know what? I'm already maxed out on Sudoku medium. I'm going up to hard or ultra hard. You know, it's like, I want to do the thing that's going to be the hardest to solve. And that may be one of the rarer cards to find. But what I like about this as a pair, compared to like maybe the Wagner or, oh man, is it Wagner?
Horace Wagner?
Yeah,
the Hannes Wagner, which a lot of these cards have lower pops than the Wagner. But what I will say too is be careful with the pop reports because not a lot of non-sports cards are graded. So even common cards overseas, right? They're not going to show their true representation on a population report. So like, for example, if anyone's going to start collecting United Kingdom issues, a lot of the Wills sets over there were mass produced. While in the pop reports over here, a lot of them you'll find less than 50 cards or 100 cards. And you might think, oh, these are super, super scarce. But these were issues that were mass produced overseas. The same with Ogden's. Like Ogden's has some really, really scarce sets. So I don't want to classify every Ogden card as pretty common, but a lot of the Ogden sets were mass produced, which is puzzling for some people because if you think about it, like when you think about 20s or 30s cards, you always think, oh, these are tough to find. But when you go overseas, in the United Kingdom, for example, and I keep saying UK, there was a mass production of cards in the 1920s and 1930s for specific sets.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I cannot believe you are not a consultant for auction houses. Like the amount that you know is just out of this world. Okay, let's go ahead and pivot then. Other than this, before we go to bands and maybe something that's more recently topical, what is you said flags are still something, and that was something after you came on last time. I found out a buddy we call Happy John is someone who he actually got into flags or started looking at some flags after your last appearance on the show. I didn't really realize that was going to be something that people latched onto. Is that been something that is pretty popular in the non-sport world?
Absolutely. So there's a few different flags that people collect. So first off, like Americana on this side of things, there's people that just want to collect American figures, right? Like Uncle Sam, American flags, different things like that. And some of the early Allen Ginter flags on the Americana side of things, they fetch some really good numbers. I want to say the designation on top of my head is N9. Let me just double check. Yeah, N9 Ginter flags. So there's 2 American flags on that set. And the more popular American flag on that one can fetch close to $1,000, if not more, depending on the grade. Even low grade condition on that is $300 to $400, which is surprising for a lot of people. They have no idea. And then there's other versions of that card that were printed by other brands, kind of as like advertising pieces, which that's a full topic for another day, talking about advertising pieces with non-sports cards. But even those, like, were kind of like reproductions of the original Ginter. Some of those can fetch a couple $100 depending on the scarcity of the brand associated with it and what's been printed on.
Well, I know specifically too, he was like hunting like I think it's his state, like Michigan.
Allen Ginter, so that's the country flag set, right? But they also made sets of the states and territories. So I actually buy a lot of those and I resell them. So I'll get them graded and people will spend $50 to $100 on their state because they want to have it in their own personal collection. Obviously, after you get like a 5 or 6, those do fetch quite a lot more. But like lower grade, anywhere from a 2 to a 4, they usually sell anywhere from $50 to $100, and they're really, really great sellers. Like a lot of people chase after.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Well then, all right, let's go ahead then. One of the reasons, like we already said, is Ozzy had his last performance, his last concert. I can't say I was ever a big lover of Black Sabbath. Though I do know some of the songs, I will say I probably knew him more from the MTV Osborne show. I am very curious, like when it comes to the Ozzy card market and other bands, like or other members of bands. Are there specific sets that guys chase more than others?
Let's talk about Ozzy's market and Black Sabbath. So I'm going to kind of just like lump them together. So first stuff for Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, you look in the early, like late 60s and early 70s, Black Sabbath started getting a little bit popular. There's a set out of Eastern Europe called Hischler. And I think we talked about it a little bit on the first episode. They're actually gum wrappers that were counting as cards. So they made a set of 100 different bands. They're not all unique bands, but there's 100 in the set. And Black Sabbath is in that set. Now, I purchased my copy, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago for $300. There was a copy that was way worse that sold about 2 years ago, also for that $300 price point. Today, I don't know where it'd go because, again, it's a super niche item, but it is one of the earliest Black Sabbath cards. Another one out there in the early 70s is going to be your Vlinder, which is going to be a part of a matchbook. So we're going super abstract right here. We're talking about a gum wrapper as well as a part of a matchbook. And you can actually grade the matchbook one. You can't grade the gum wrapper right now, although I'm going to try again to get those graded because I do have quite a few bands on there. But those are some of the earliest examples, right? They're very tough to find. You can't just source them. Probably I wouldn't say the easiest, but quote unquote easiest early Black Sabbath card to source is going to be your 1972 Panini Cantanti. Now, I have a personal copy that's graded an 8. I believe there's a bunch of 8s out there. There's no 9s or 10s for some reason on that card, but that's going to be one of your more popular one. The one that a lot of newer collectors are going to label as a quote unquote rookie card. They're going to say, oh, the 72 Panini is the rookie card. Yeah, I just showed you 2 cards that were earlier. Regardless, that's going to be probably one of their most popular early cards if you're going to try to get a Sabbath out there. The first solo Ozzy card, I want to say, is from 1973. It's one of those jumbo giant Panini cards. So not a lot of people love those because those are pain to store. But that is one of the cards with the first ever only just Ozzy image on there. The Sabbath 72, usually in low to medium grade, you can pick those up anywhere from 75 to 150 to $200. If you're looking for like a 7 or 8, you're probably spending $200 to $400 if you can find one.
So what is the deal with the fact that we're talking about like older sets, right, of cards or gum wrappers in some cases, and matchbooks in some cases? Where do we find ourselves in the world of music collecting now, like non-sport card music collecting these days compared to back then? Because obviously it's going to be a lot harder for guys to, if they even want a gum wrapper or matchstick box, because some, like you mentioned earlier, they may not even consider that to be a card. They want to have an actual card that was made. I know, like for a fact, I had found when I was looking up the Rolling Stones, they had in 1973, Panini also made some cards back in 1973. In fact, one sold recently for like $120 or something on eBay. And I think like, oh, that's interesting because now Panini's making new band cards, but they're obviously not as popular when you're considering the whole world of non-sport cards. They're not selling for nearly what some of this other, non-sport card for Marvel or DC or Scooby-Doo even is selling for. So do you see like the market right now having an opportunity where you could see people wanting not some band cards or musician cards, or is this really something that just lies in the past for interest for you and others?
I think there's an opportunity, but the marketing has to change within the hobby. And the clearest example of this is concert posters. People go fanatic to try to get concert posters of their favorite bands. Like people will wait outside of venues for 6, 7, 8 hours to try to get a concert poster because they're numbered to like 300 or 500. So people want to get every Metallica poster or every Pearl Jam poster or every Billy Strings poster, and they'll start collecting those. It's like another form of collectibles, right? And there's a company out there called Gas, which I believe reproduces a lot of those concert posters into like card sizes. But I think they do a really good job, but you really need like the push of fanatics to really get the music going on the new generation of collectors. The issue with music cards and why I don't think it's really latched on to a lot of the collectors is you look at like baseball, football, basketball, you have releases every single year on Clockwork. You have breakers that are opening up the product. Like it's always getting pushed in someone's face. Music cards, right? Most people don't even know music cards exist unless you did the research on it. Like, oh, I wonder if Led Zeppelin has a card. I wonder if Black Sabbath has a card. Then you find out that they have a card. Then you start diving into that side of the hobby. You start learning about some of the foreign issues in Eastern Europe that are nearly impossible to find. You start looking at gum wrappers. You start looking at, like the Vlinder example I talked about a little bit earlier. Like you generally have to be interested in researching cards to find out about music cards. It's not propped in front of you like a sports card is today. I think Fanatics could change that. There's tons of ways that they could market music cards. I'm not going to address them all over here, but they could really build that out from scratch if they really wanted to. But I think that's the only way to grow that side of it.
Well, I think like for instance, just with WWE, they are at these shows set up selling cards, exclusive cards even at these events. It's like, oh, well, why not do that at one of their big concerts or something like that? It would make perfect sense to be able to access their main fan base right there on the spot.
All right, so I'll say some of my examples because I don't do any consulting for card companies or anything like that. So my biggest thing is like you have different subsections of bands. Like I listen to a lot of rock and metal music. You have bands that tour around the States, right? They sell their t-shirts. Tons of people want to buy a t-shirt, even if they're not like a stadium-sized band. So why not just have genre-based boxes? Like, okay, this is going to be a metal 2025 metal chrome. I don't know. There's a random name out there and have a list of 200 bands. The bands can sell the boxes at their merch booths at the show. People are going to go there already trying to buy, a t-shirt or buy some other accessories to support the band. The band makes a profit on each of these boxes and they can prop them up all across the United States at these small venues, 1,000 to 2,000. Headliners could have their own sets, kind of like how we have the set now for Rolling Stones. They could put that at their arena shows. So you have the smaller bands that would have a subsection of sets. Then you have the larger bands that have their own set, or maybe they have also a larger set as well with other types of headliners. Like there's so many different ways to market this. And even with like bands signing autographs, right? Like let's say you pull a card from a pack and you get a band autograph afterwards. Like there's a million options out there to do it. I wish they would. But
I love it. Honestly, like to turn them into your LCS or breaker, like the band itself or like the people that work for their merch team are like, they're out there hawking these boxes. And it's like, yeah, but guess what? You can't get backstage to get his auto, but his auto's in this box or their guitar pick is in that box on a card. So it's like, I think that's honestly a really great idea, especially when you consider the amount of people that come to these shows and they go and want a piece of that show to take home with them. And what I found interesting too is like when you compare it to, and I go back to this because it is the most recent version of this, but when you compare it to the Panini Rolling Stone product that just came out, and I will say shout out to Court. This is a guy who works with Panini who I hear he is like kind of the mastermind behind this. I actually like that guy a lot. He does a really good job with a lot of different things over there, including NFTs. But the only thing I kind of have issue with these sets is like there is no memorabilia. There are no autos with this. It's just like it's artwork. And granted, you
need to have a chase.
Yeah, there's one of ones, there's parallels, and they've got color blasts, which those are all popular inserts, but it's like that's not the chase that I think a lot of fans would be chasing after. They want something that has like the chance of having a fingerprint from them or a piece of DNA from them in a not weird way on that card. And so I think that, yes, this was an option. Like they made the cards this way, but they came out at $75 a box. They're selling on eBay right now for less than 50. It kind of shows like, oh, that may not be the direction to go if you want to make a band or music set. We need to do something else. And I think kind of what we're talking about here would be a better way to do it. If nothing else, a better way to market it.
Yeah. And I mean, look at some of the other Panini releases, because I am going to give them props. Like in the past, they used to put some autographs in packs. Like I know Vince Neil from Motley Crue, there's relic autograph cards on like the Americana stuff in the 2010s. So they've done it before. I know that there's obviously a more of an expense when you go to the Stones level if you need to get some autographs or some memorabilia. But I really think if you put that in there, you would have that. And again, sell those at the Rolling Stones concerts. Like you have people that love the Stones. They're spending $300-$400 for a ticket, like even for nosebleeds at times, just to go into the venue. Like what's a $40 blaster? That's cheaper than a concert t-shirt, which are now again $50 for even like mid-level bands. $50 for a t-shirt. Posters are $75 to $100, not including variants. Like you're talking about $40 or $50 boxes. Like people will spend up for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think the people that listen to the show, and I know that there's people from Fanatics, I know there's people from Upper Deck, and I don't know anything about Panini if they listen or not, because they never talk to us about anything. But I do know that they listen to things like this. I hope that they take this into consideration, because I would love to see, you know, like the artwork on some of these Panini cards is cool to some extent, but it's like it's not for one. Rolling Stones is not as topical of a band, not as popular as they once were in their heyday, of course. And like today, I don't think you've got as many people chasing that. But at the same time, like we said, there's really not a big chase in there to begin with. So avenues of selling, marketing, chases, all these things could have been fixed.
Can I say one thing though with the Rolling Stones? So they still sell out like 60, 70,000 people at a concert for a football stadium. So I think that they are still pretty relevant on the popularity side of things, but I still think there's a mismatch in the market, because if you go back into their 60s releases, the first main sets were 1965. There's tons of them that were printed, kind of like after the Beatlemania 64. But you could go back and get some of their promo cards from anywhere from 62 through 64 with autographs for $3,000. There's been multiple sales. I believe the auction house is called Rock and Roll Auctions, which they do a really good job of sourcing up some of these really rare and obscure music cards. A few years ago, there was an autograph with 5 members of Rolling Stones that sold for $3,000. And this is like a super, super scarce card. So then again, it's like there's a mismatch, because if that goes for $3,000, like what's the best card in this Stones Panini product going to be? But again, it goes back to the education. Like most card collectors don't know that 64 card exists. They don't know about the earlier Stones cards. And that it's something that the card companies have to solve. If they want to push out music cards, you have to fix the education portion of it. And you need to have that audience that buys it year over year, which both of those are like huge glaring issues on that side of things.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And looking at the cards right now, like I've got eBay listings up and seeing what they, and I should have clarified too, like when I say like they're not as relevant when it comes to the people that are buying boxes of Prism and the people that are chasing after color blast inserts. Like that's not the band to tie together with that, I wouldn't think. And I will say this as well. This is a little infuriating. They have there's a 2025 Panini Prism Rolling Stones gold vinyl Prism Mick Jagger. Now, when you hear gold vinyl, for anybody who knows Panini, you know, Topps has the gold superfractor, like the 1 of 1. And typically Panini has like the vinyl, which is the same round little symbol on there that indicates, oh, that's a 1 of 1. This is a gold vinyl 4 of 5. I've never seen this before. I kind of hate that they are doing gold vinyls where it's not the 1 of 1, it's a out of 5 card. That's frustrating to me, and that's not really on topic, but it needed to be said. All that being said, I think this is a really good topic for people that are wanting to get more into this era. I do think that there's areas where it can be like, you know, I can't spend an hour for us to talk about this because I don't know if the audience that listens to this and chases after Marvel cards and brand new, you know, Disney stuff is also into the other side of the historic and vintage collecting. But I do want to continue to have guys like yourself on to talk about this because I love bringing attention to it because people don't know that there are older sets and older cards of maybe the exact same thing, the exact same Spider-Man type character that they're chasing, but from 50 or 50 plus years ago on a card. I want them to know about that and be able to add that to their collection one day. So I really appreciate you coming on, Ryan, and talking a little bit about it. I know we didn't get as in depth on all of these subjects, but if nothing else, it leaves us something to talk about again in the future. People, if you don't know this, you can watch this on YouTube. Now you can't watch it as soon as you can listen to it. It comes out about a week or a week and a half after it airs, but YouTube, I'm trying to bump those YouTube numbers. You and I talked about this because Ray has a great channel. It's got tons of followers. The one thing that I haven't done as much of is do pure product pumping or promotion pumping of the YouTube. So that's what this is. Go and subscribe to YouTube.
Do us a favor, guys. Come over to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification. So when the video drops, Jesse, they get to see our beautiful faces.
They get that bump notification. I like that. See, that's you're already paying for yourself, bro. The Pikachu felt hat, the Van Gogh Pikachu. You may have sent me this, or maybe I found it on myself, or maybe someone else sent it to me. Honestly, who knows? But it is now the most graded Pokemon card out there. 80, actually I wrote it down, 83,000 graded cards. What do you think about that?
Total, or is that just the PSA 10s?
No. That's total.
The pop report.
Yes. Now there's 40,000 or so.
Half
PSA
of those
10s.
are PSA 10s.
Yeah, which is kind of
it's crazy.
It's crazy. It doesn't seem like it's crazy. What's even more crazy is what they are still going for, despite all that. I think right now those are still going for around $800 as a 10, and there's 40,000 of them as a 10. What do you think about that?
What do you think about?
What do you think about that? I mean, I have thoughts on it. It seems to me.
Do you want to hear my thoughts?
Please, I absolutely do.
It's weird because we were talking about the One Piece card at the Dodger Stadium over the weekend, and this is kind of like a similar thing because initially this was only going to be released at the Van Gogh Museum. Did I say Dodgers Museum? Dodgers game.
Dodgers game. Yes,
at the Dodgers game was the One Piece, but the Straw Hat Pikachu card.
Yes.
Gray Fell Hat. I'm getting both of them mixed up.
Confusing.
Gray Fell Hat was supposed to be released at the Van Gogh Museum only.
I recall that. Yes.
So it's weird how kind of like that makes that it's kind of like the same thing, but I think it's great. The artwork.
Well, what happened too, I remember because I got mine and I got it after that because there was like a short release afterward because it was in the news everywhere that people are stampeding the museum into the merch section of what do they call that? Like the gift shop. Exit through the gift shop. That was a great documentary.
Great documentary.
I know, right? But there was everyone just piling in there trying to get that card or trying to get something that had the card with it. And then they decided, oh, well, we can't continue to do this.
Yeah, this is a disaster.
My understanding was like, oh, well, any of the leftover ones, that's what went to Poke Center.
The Pokemon Center.
Pokemon Center.
Yeah, which is where you buy everything Pokemon online.
And like it was like if you bought something, they would include a card with your purchase.
Maybe.
And I did. That's how I got mine. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then I guess they just reprinted it or something, or they just
they just had a lot of them.
Oh, is that what it was? Like
they just had a lot of them, and that's the only way that they weren't going to give them out of the museum anymore because of that reason. So let's just all give them out, and hopefully people can receive them when they order something. Did yours just get thrown in there? Because that's how mine got. It was like in the bottom of the box.
Mine wasn't in there super secure, I remember, but I remember thinking, because I think this might have been around a time that we met up for lunch or something. I can't remember exactly. I do remember for some reason knowing that yours didn't show up great, but mine did. Like mine was actually, the card itself was fine. I don't think it was securely held, but it didn't get damaged. So yeah, that was one of those things where I was very fortunate. But yeah, I mean, I say $800. These things are like on bids on several auctions over the last 2 days. 1,100, 1,275, 1,125. Yeah, these things are going.
It's wild.
They're going for more money.
The demand is there. In Pokemon, it's almost, if the card has a high pop rate, but the demand is so high, it's still going to climb up in price because of the Pikachu card, like the Umbreon card. The Umbreon card has so many pop 10s. and people still want them.
Yeah.
And they still want to, pay the money to get in their collection. Same with the Pikachu card. I mean, it's a great promo.
Yep.
People want in their collection. I venture to say it could be like a modern day Poncho.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah.
And I think the artwork in a Pokemon card is great. Because are you familiar with the Munch promo cards that released in Japan? The Pokemon cards? I
don't think so.
Well, the screen painting?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did variations. I think there's 6 of them.
Yes.
One of them being Pikachu.
One's like Psyduck.
An Eevee, an Owlet. And
yes. They call those Munch?
The Munch, because that's who painted the original painting.
Okay.
So, it's kind of like the same thing. I love the artwork incorporation with a Pokemon and it being Pikachu. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I mean, down the road, everyone's still gonna want that card. And if it's a good artwork and something that we're seeing right now in Hidden Fates set, the old set, the promo out of that is a stained glass birds card. That's the promo out of the ETB. That thing has skyrocketed in value just because the card is a great card, and you could pick it up for $5 like all day long, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and now I think it's like $120 card.
Oh wow!
Which is making the ETB go up tremendously. I think it's a $400 ETB currently, which before it was, I think maybe even $500. But I think because of the Pokemon, because of the artwork incorporated with like the Van Gogh Museum, I mean, it's a great card to have in your collection.
So if you're new to collecting Pokemon, if you're like a casual Pokemon collector, is this one of those cards that you like need to have?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
I think so. It's a blue chip.
Yeah. It's like a blue chip. It's safe. It's one of these bigger ones that's not going to just nosedive overnight.
And I think because of all the hoopla and chaos, there's a story behind the card.
Yeah.
That just makes people want it even
Adds
more.
to the provenance. Well, fun fact, other sponsor of the show is DC Sports 87, the consignment company, biggest card consigner on eBay. They have a Pikachu Black Star promo PSA 10 felt hat right now on bids. Granted, by the time people listen to this, it will already have ended. It only has 4 hours left. I have my Pikachu that it's a SGC 10.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about maybe switching it over to a PSA.
You're going to crack it, or you're just going to?
I don't know yet. I don't know. Cause it's like one of those questions like, well, if I send it in already graded, will PSA look at that and be like, oh, I'm not going to do it out of spite type of thing? Like, cause there's,
I think that's what happened to my Beckett cards and I try to get crossed over.
Really? Yeah. It's just one of those things where nobody ever has really good stories for her. Oh yeah, every time I send in my graded stuff with the same grade, that grading company continues to grade it at the same level. Mm-hmm. It's always different, it seems like. So it's like they try and find more faults in it. But if you guys are looking for other sports and non-sports on eBay, DC Sports has a great subsection of cards, but they also are fantastic to consign with. I'd strongly encourage you guys working with them. Been a big promoter of them, not just because they are sponsors of the show, but because I actively use them and because they are so communicative on the back end. So I can't say enough good things about them. They also have a great team over there.
There you go. Get your Pikachu cards, guys.
Get your Pikachu and I guess sports cards if you care about that kind of thing. Last thing was Upper Deck was going to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year. I thought was interesting. I don't know if they've set up before.
Ooh.
In fact, I meant to try and figure out if Topps was going to be at San Diego Comic-Con too. But I think it's cool too because they're giving out cards like that. Well, I say giving. I cannot confirm based on the Instagram post that I saw. They have a booth. It's still like 2 weeks away. San Diego Comic-Con is on July 24th.
Are you going?
No, I mean I go to the National like basically a few days later. No. After that, the National starts on July 30th, I believe. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's like a few days after that would end. Yeah, there's no chance. I wish.
Are you going to the Nash Anole this weekend?
I'm going to Michigan on Wednesday. So that's again, it's one of these things every time. Like I've just been too busy this summer, but we're gonna hit some card shops on the way up there.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's like I've got family up there. Mike's wife, who's my cousin, we both have another cousin who lives up there. They have a kid who's graduating. We're going to do like a party thing.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fantastic.
And to be fair, I've never visited them up there. They always have come down here because it's like one of those things where it's like there's more family here and there's only like them up there. So it's like it's always been hard to get up there. I feel bad, but we're finally doing it, so can't feel that bad. And we're going to some card shops on the way up there. I wanted to try and get some content for Hobby Nonsense along the way. So that's the goal. I'll be posting on the Hobby Nonsense Instagram.
We're going to be posting more on there, guys. So if you haven't checked out the Instagram page, come over. Check us out.
That's one of the beauties of having Ray over here. It's nice to have a little support, and I appreciate that, sir. That's it. That's the end of the show. It's been.
Can I interrupt you real quick, Jesse? So I did have one more qualm with you.
Oh, please. Another bone to pick.
Another bone to pick. Yes, sir.
Oh, man. I'm over here looking at my Labubu, and you can say whatever you want.
This is kind of like a big bone to pick because I listened to the last episode of the podcast.
Okay.
On the way down or the way up, I can't remember, from Atlanta. But you were talking about the CT scanned Pokemon pack.
Yes.
That had guaranteed Shadowless Charizard inside.
Yes. I did talk about
and
this.
You were talking about how of a scummy thing, detrimental to the hobby.
Yes.
How bad this could be.
I did say that.
And I completely disagree with you on this subject.
You know what is funny is I have had a couple people comment, like on TikTok, there were some comments on that post and they said, wouldn't you want them to tell you like if it's in there? And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, actually, yes, I would. Like if someone scanned it, I want them to tell me that they scanned it, right? I want them to let me know that not only did they scan it, there is a huge card in there. And
that doesn't guarantee that the card's going to be minty.
True. Absolutely.
So you'll get the Charizard, but what if it's off-centered?
Well, that's where my butt comes in. So This is a good thing in this microcosm event where they posted and they said the truth of what has happened. The bigger picture is that people are going to use this service and then not say a word about the fact that they scanned this pack or this box and there wasn't a Charizard in there, but they won't tell you that. And the fact that you can do that now because there are services like that exist is the part that I find scummy and I don't like.
I see what you're saying. I would never. Here's the thing. As collectors, as people that are coming into this hobby, especially newbies, if you would.
Yes.
Rookies, let's say it that way.
I like that.
Rookies, don't go in like gung-ho trying to buy like a Shadowless pack right away. Like,
I would agree.
Get a little season, do your research. Like, I would never buy a big money pack off of any site. I would have to purchase it from someone that I knew, that I have a rapport with, that I've been buying, selling, trading.
Sure.
And then they're like, okay, this is the pack. I have this pack, and they're upfront with me, and I can have it right there. I can inspect it because what was the value of that pack? Do you remember?
Sold for $30,000.
$30K.
Yeah.
The reason why you want to purchase that pack is eventually you want to get it graded and hopefully get a 10. But why don't you just go ahead and buy a PSA 10 Shadowless Charizard to begin with? Unless it's cheaper to buy the pack than to buy.
Well, it's probably because it is not as cheap to buy the single. In fact,
what is a 10 going for?
There was a 1999 Pokemon Charizard Holo first edition.
First edition is
Shadowless.
Two different things.
Well, it's Shadowless and first edition.
Yeah, so that's the big money one.
Which I think
the pack was just Shadowless.
It was just Shadowless. Okay, so then just Shadowless. You're right. It wasn't first edition. A PSA 10 just sold 2 days ago for $55,000.
$55,000.
Yes.
Okay, so I can see you purchasing the pack. Hopefully, it's crispy and you get a 10. I can see that.
Yeah,
you're maybe saving a little bit of money, but like the guarantees of you getting a 10, aren't there.
Sure. Okay.
So
I mean, that's fair, but at the same time, I guess I could have been clear on my distaste for what was going on, because in that specific situation, they actually did the right thing. However, I don't like that is now like, oh, we're taking away one of the truest senses of what the hobby is, which is like not knowing. It's the art of the mystery. I don't
think that is a valid argument for vintage TCG cards.
Okay.
Because especially big money ones, because there's so much weighing, not weighing there. But you know what I mean? Like you almost want to, unless you're getting a sealed box.
But that's like, if that's the case, then I think if that were true, I think everyone would buy a already opened box, right? A single of that card. They would go out and buy the card versus trying to open a pack. I think they opened the pack because they want a chance of hitting
hitting the big card.
And of course, it's going to be cheaper, right? There's also that aspect of it. The fact that you can buy a pack for less than what it would cost for that card. But that's where it's like, oh, well, then just sell them the card if you're going to do a CT scan pack. Mm-hmm. Like if we already know what's in there, just open the pack and sell the card. The pack. Why are we doing it this way?
Now, let's say that the card's not even in there. Maybe they messed up, or the CT, or I don't like words.
Trust me, I thought about that. Yeah, I don't.
Like, that's crazy.
But that's again where there's like,
because I saw the image and I was like, I don't know if that's like enough.
It gave enough to me where it's like, okay, I think there's credibility that it could be in here if it's even like real. If the photo was real, if any of it was manufactured, how would you even know? Because it's like, this is so new to begin with. How do you prove it?
That's why there's too much risk involved. And again, I would only purchase big money packs with somebody one-on-one, face-to-face, looking at the pack. Because
you're going to open it right there, though? Like if you were going to do it, would you do it where you can open it in front of them?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of the times, Jesse, I have seen videos to where, for instance, the Mario Pikachu, it used to come in a box.
Yeah.
In a box, it had 2 promo cards and then a deck box in the box. Mm-hmm. Empty. That's all that's in there, right? Mm. I have seen videos where people have purchased this box, opening the box right in front of them, and it not having the promos inside the box.
Yeah.
And so they would refund them the money.
Which, I mean, that's awesome that they would refund the money. It's also like one of those things where, okay, well then that means eBay, like what are you going to do with eBay? Like obviously people are going to continue to buy on there, right? Like I don't think you should with situations exactly like that, because you never know. Even if the person that you're buying from, you trust them and they think they know, they could have gotten scammed at some point
down the road.
So it's like it's very difficult to know if you're buying something genuine. I think it depends on the seller. If there's some kind of warranty that goes into it, it's like, hey, if this isn't real, if these aren't real cards, money back type of thing.
Yeah, I feel like almost like Golden and Heritage Auction would have a better guarantee than, let's say, eBay.
And that's where it's like, I do see a value in CT scanning for big companies. And it just sounds so hypocritical, even as I say it, as it comes out of my mouth, because it's like, I want the auction house to know that is real, that it's legitimate. And the only way they really can is by opening and seeing in there, or by CT scanning it. And because that's what a lot of these services are offering.
Didn't they recently CT scan a first edition box?
Golden did.
Golden did, right?
Yeah, Golden is doing it right now. And so it's like, okay, well, that's where it's like, oh, I don't have as much of an issue with that. But again, it's I want my cake and eat it too, and all I can do, honestly, I think is the only thing that we as a hobby can do is just, hey, let's continue to enforce the things that we like and push against the things we dislike. Because other than that, people are going to continue to do what they want to do on the more nefarious side, the people who have ill intent. I can't do anything about that, but I can at least use a microphone to say why I think this is good and why I think you should do it, or why I think it's bad and why I think you should avoid it. So that's really all we got.
There you go. Let us know what you guys think. Put it down in the comments. Send us a DMs.
I like that.
Let us know.
Thank you. Ray, thank you again for agreeing to co-host this podcast with me. I do appreciate it.
We're here, baby.
Again, thank you to Nolan Ryan, aka Ryan Nolan, for joining the podcast. And thank you to all of you. As always, I have to give my final shout out to you, the audience, because we would not be here without you. So again, thank you for subscribing, following, listening, and we will see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Peace.